Hello everyone, welcome back to another weather forecast video. Today we will be going over the possibility for snow up in the Great Lakes area, extending down into the Illinois and Indiana area, and possibly even a little farther south, especially in the higher elevations, and the possibility for multiple cold blasts over the next week or two here as we go into the Thanksgiving time frame. But I wanted to quickly start it off with this spinning area here in a this isn't spinning out there in the Caribbean or anything. This is actually up near Vancouver and out to the west of Oregon and Washington out here, just churning away as it moves off to the north and east, and is currently bringing some high winds, very heavy rain, and snow for the higher elevations over here in the Oregon and Washington area, and even a little bit of Northern California. And we actually had some hurricane-like winds along the coast here the other day. And this will continue to kind of move off to the north, so the winds and the conditions in general should slowly improve for areas along the coast here. But this will continue to send moisture up into these areas, bringing the possibility for flooding rainfall and heavy snow up in the higher elevations. And if we're bringing it over here to the simulated radar, you can get an idea of those cold blasts, bringing the possibility for snow and rain that I was talking about, and the areas of heavy snow and rain along the east coast here. So you can see that over the next day, that moisture will continue to hit Northern California and areas like Washington and Oregon. And if you take your eyes and look at the Great Lakes region here, especially Wisconsin and Michigan, you can see that overnight tonight a newer low pressure will form and kind of swing back around, bringing the possibility for very heavy snow for areas like Michigan and Wisconsin here, as you can see that move off down to the south. Now this will be very fast moving, and it is still very warm out, so I'm not expecting too much accumulation, but we could see some possible accumulation with in certain areas depending on the rate of the snow, because as you can see here, this will be falling at a pretty heavy rate here. So areas like in Wisconsin and Michigan in the earlier commute between 6 a.m. and noon could be looking at the possibility for some pretty heavy snowfall before in areas in Wisconsin before it changes back into a heavier period of rain going into the afternoon there. And if we look right after, a newer low pressure forms later in the day on Friday, bringing the possibility for snow in areas over here in areas like New York. And then that also spins around, and then another one forms up to the north of that, bringing the possibility for snow in the Maine and northern New England areas. So we could see multiple days of possible snowfall. Again, it is pretty warm out still, and the roads are still warm, so we would likely won't see much accumulation with this. But when we do, roads could become slippery at points in time, so we could be looking at the possibility for some more hazardous travel as these roads become a little slippery as that snow begins to build up on the roads. Although it should melt fairly quickly as the daytime temperatures really get moving. And if we're bringing it over here to the total snowfall map, we can get an idea in certain areas where we may be looking at totals for snow. And if we drag this out, we could see during the later afternoon and evening today, there is a possibility for some slight snow showers to continue, dropping possible visibility down to 1 mile here in Wisconsin, although none of this is expected to accumulate. And then going into Thursday, we can see that band come down, and by Thursday afternoon, areas here in Wisconsin could see anywhere between 2 and 4 inches, although like I said, it is likely to melt going into the afternoon, especially as that rain band kicks back through, and some locally higher amounts like around 5 to 6 inches here. And then areas on the other side here in Michigan, also same story, about 2 to 4 inches. Areas I expect that it could possibly stick a little better is going to be areas up here in way northern Michigan where you could expect close to 6 to 8 inches as that heavy snow kind of sticks around for a while. But this will be a fast moving storm, so it's not really expected to accumulate, but when it's heavy enough snow, it could have the possibility of accumulating. And our second band here shows some very heavy snow, especially for areas up in the higher elevations. So I will watch for the possibility of heavy snow up in the higher elevations where it has a better chance of sticking. And if I drag this out, there are some models hinting that we could see a swath of snow come across around the Thanksgiving time frame. Now, this is still very in question right now, but some models do hint at the possibility for some type of snow and severe weather mix down to the south. So we could see a snow element going into the Thanksgiving time frame and into that weekend. So I'll continue to monitor that and update on that in future forecast videos. And the last thing I wanted to look at today was the total inches of rainfall over the next few days here, especially in areas along the west coast here with that system just turning off to the south or to the west. And we can see over the next about 2 days here, it's already showing around 10 inches for certain areas with hot pockets, usually around 4 to 8 inches, but locally up to 10 to 12 inches of rain, especially in areas here in Northern California. And areas in Washington and Oregon already got a lot of their rain, but like areas here could see the possibility of another 1 to 2 inches. And I think that'll kind of be the main story because if you drag this out even farther to about 130 hours out, you can still see that high area along the west coast here of heavy rainfall. So we're going to watch for the possibility of some flooding here, possibly excessive flooding for areas along the west coast here as multiple low pressures will just kind of turn off to the west and dump rain, snow in the higher elevations, and make it a little windier over here over the next few days. And then the last thing I wanted to add on was that areas here will experience some high wind gusts too, along with that snow, possibly up to 45 miles per hour for sure in southern Wisconsin and areas along the coast here as that low pressure system kind of sits over top of you, bringing both the snow and the high winds along with it. So that's all I got for today's weather forecast. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope to see you in the next.